The Clemson Tigers, the Duke Blue Devils, just moments away from tipping off our second game of the day. Billy, much is made about the Duke front line, and well, it should be. You've got a great player in Grant Hill. Eric Meek will start today up front with Cherokee Parks. But if Duke is to succeed in postseason play beyond the ACC, they've got to get it from these two, Jeff Capel and Chris Collins.
I would have to agree to that, and Marty Clark as well, coming off as a perimeter player. Both of these young men have produced very nicely for Duke this year, but you know teams are going to pack things back inside, and if they can produce, that keeps Grant Hill inside where he's most effective and not having to come out and handle all the ball handling responsibilities.
We'll see how it goes today against the Clemson Tigers as Duke, the regular season champs, go to work in the tournament. Back after this word from our good friends at Budweiser. ACC basketball is brought to you in part by Neon. The Clemson Tigers and Duke Blue Devils, and the Tigers starting lineup has been adjusted for this Duke game. Blue Devil killer Devin Gray is in the lineup along with Wayne Buckingham, Sharon Wright, Andre Beauvain, and Merle Code, who had a big game last night, starts at the point ahead of Lou Ritchie. The Duke Blue Devils go with Eric Meek today. He will start ahead of Capel. He'll join Lang, Parks, Hill, and Collins. So a couple of young men on the spot. Merle Code for the Clemson Tigers, and Eric Meek getting a starting assignment for the Devils. The tip-off is straight ahead. Cliff Ellis winning his third ACC tournament game last night over NC State against four-time National Coach of the Year Mike Krzyzewski today. It's hard to sneak some interesting facts past you ACC fans. You know the game so well, but here's one I bet you didn't know. Clemson leads Duke all-time in ACC tournament play 3-2.
And we'll get into what was the biggest Clemson win over Duke. Goes way back, way back.
Does the year 1962 come to mind? We'll talk about that. Right now, the regular season champs, the fifth team in the country, the Blue Devils, in control. Only 4 losses, 2 to Carolina, 2 to the Deacs. Here's Grant Hill's first shot of the game, and he scores.
Right over Beauvain. They set him up in the low post. If that's going to be the matchup, believe me, that's where it's going to be for Grant Hill. Too much size.
When Clemson challenged Duke at Cameron a few weeks back, it was Hill who put Duke on his back, and carried them to the victory. Grant hits the deck hard. A foul called on the Tigers.
Hill in that ball game, 33 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 for 17, went to the line 12 times, made 11 of him. Just an incredible performance by one of the conference's all-time best players.
Blue Devils 22-4 overall. The Clemson Tigers have won 16 and lost 14. Hill fakes Beauvain, misses. Meek the rebound, up strong, he misses. And now controlling is Sharon Wright, and Hill knocks it away.
Nice idea by Grant Hill to sneak back in there and realizing Wright's going to give up that ball as opposed to putting on the floor with a dribble.
Billy, let me ask you about the Clemson legs. Play last night, come back for 2:30 game.
Got to be a factor. You know, it's got to be a factor. Clemson started very slow, however, last night. Wright, you know, the big fella did not really have much of a game, even though his stats picked up at the end. He did not play.
Minutes.
Yeah, right, 19 minutes. So he should be all right. That'd be the guy that if he wore himself out last night, you'd really concern yourself. And Code, who really played a great second half, particularly, is the guy that really turned that game around. He didn't play that many minutes.
Well, Mr. Gray had that one come right back at him.
And you see what the object here is, that Meek on Gray, what Mike Krzyzewski wants to do is just pound him a little bit.
The ball did not hit the rim, so the shot clock expiration gives the ball to Duke. Beauvain just had to fire it. That good Duke defensive pressure tells the tale. 2-0 Devils.
And for people who have been on the moon, it hit the backboard, but not the rim. It's got to hit the rim. Grant Hill getting a lot of good looks here.
Here's a touch pass out to Collins.
That's the shot that Chris Collins will have to hit and make if Duke is going to move a long way, not only in this tournament, but next week in the NCAA tournament.
Well, code number 11. Now here's Devin Gray with a left-hander. That won't go. Tipped out. And it belongs to Clemson.
Hey, you got some strong bodies out there now when you're Clemson. You're talking about, we all know what Sharon Wright has in terms of a big, strong body, but you've got Gray out there with a body, and then you've got Buckingham right there. Talk about bodies. So there's going to be a lot of weight thrown around inside. Parks, Meek, Antonio Lang, and Grant Hill. So expect the action down inside to be pretty tough, much like we saw in that first game.
And this crowd is still drained after that second half. And so Virginia finally beat back Maryland's challenge 69-63.
Set screen
to Devin Gray, and he puts it home.
That's a great set play, and Wright just cleared out, set the screen for Gray to come in behind. Gray can't handle Grant Hill out on the perimeter. Hill's too quick for him. See if he takes advantage.
Parks with his personal challenge today, Sharon Wright. Tied at 2.
Wright has played very well against Parks and other quality big men around the country.
Bove kicks it out to Merle Code. Devin Gray will take it.
Nice block out. Hill on Buckingham.
Grant Hill just off the mark, and Parks runs down the rebound, but Code got a hand on it. The ball belongs to Duke.
There's a case where Cherokee Park should have caught that ball as opposed to trying to dribble. Here's the solid screen. You're going to see right here, there's no way for Parks to get back on it. Gray, perfect timing.
He guided that ball in more than shot it.
Well, that's the object for a pass of that kind, is to throw it almost as if you're wanting to make it. Put it right up there. You're not trying to miss it. There's a little problem here with the apparatus on the backboard. Officials seem to be satisfied.
Antonio Lang. Now here's Grant on the cut to Collins.
Oh,
hello.
Well, what happened? Bovane got stuck on a switch. Antonio Lang smart enough, and he is an intelligent ball player, to say, hey, nobody's guarding me, fellas. Go right to the basket.
Duke leading 4-2. Sharon Wright strong.
Boy, a break for...
Good grief, the shot behind the backboard got a rattle.
That was a break because Cherokee Parks had an easy steal and didn't take advantage of it.
And Wright with a knockaway on the low post feed to Cherokee.
Big man's off to a better start today than last night.
Bovane missing and make the rebound. And Wright tiptoeing away from what he thought might be his first foul. Parks.
Cherokee has range from that point. Nice block by Gray.
And Clemson's running. Here's Merle Code back to Devin Gray. And we've got a blocking foul on Collins.
Well, this looks like a little repeat of the Virginia game. Remember that play? We had 4 guys on the floor at one time. Well, here's 3. Code looks away. Nice stop by the big man Gray to be able to go ahead and make a stop, a guy that size, and still get the shot off. Goes to the line.
Incredible how Devin Gray has attacked Mike Krzyzewski's team, shooting 64% from the floor lifetime and averaging almost 20 a game against Duke.
Right. Back in '92, he had a 10-for-11 game against Duke University.
When you see numbers like that, you say, boy,
why not?
Great Duke defense,
yep.
You know?
Yep. If you can do that against one of the best teams in the country on a consistent basis, where are you the other nights?
Why not every time?
Yep.
Collins.
Nice feed.
This way. Duke ball.
Now, there was a case where Meek could have put a body on Buckingham and had himself a nice lane for a pass.
So a pretty even match so far. Clemson leading by a point. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Budweiser. Grant Hill, the Duke Blue Devils trailing by 1, 5-4, just underway with game number 2. Happy to have you with us this afternoon.
Bob, I'm going to tell you what the problem is for Duke and Clemson. They watched the first half of the Virginia-Maryland game and realized that in basketball you're only supposed to shoot 25%, which is what they're both doing right now, as we saw in the first half. See, they didn't see the second half, so they're kind of mesmerized. Both teams 2 for 8 at this point.
Grant Hill makes Duke 3 for 9 with his second basket.
Well, I talked to Jerry West yesterday, who's here, of course, scouting for the Lakers, and the first question he asked me is, can Grant Hill shoot the ball? You know, which is sounds like a very simple question, but that is one, of course, that people ask, and he showed there that he can.
Devin Gray now with 5. He's got 5 at Clemson's 7.
Why not? Nice move. And there's Buckingham giving Meek perfect position down inside, and even though Buckingham has a strong body, you give it that kind of position and you're going to be scored upon, and you're probably going to commit a foul.
Here's Devin pumping up and in. Good night.
You said he's that 64% is what he shoots against Duke. Why not make that one?
Grant Hill
got fouled. Got fouled on the arm. The referee didn't see it.
Code leads the 2-on-2. Grant Hill putting Duke on the offensive. Collins a three. Nope. Parks on the back. His first foul.
Now there's the second shot today that Chris had the perfect look at the basket. Nobody within 3-4 feet of him. You've got to drain that particular shot.
He's really kicking himself.
Yes, he is.
He knows exactly what you were saying, Billy, and really upset with himself.
Yeah, he's taken 100 now, 159 three-point shots, and it's critical for him to continue to hit that shot with regularity, averaging right at 40% of those.
Rayfield Ragland goes in. And Devin Gray goes out, much to the delight of the Blue Devil fans.
And of course, yeah, right. And of course, you see Clark coming in, and Capel coming in for Duke, so it changes the look of their team. Puts Grant Hill up in the front line. Meek comes out of the game.
Rayfield Ragland now in for the Tigers. Also, Jeff Brown handling it. Jeff will drive. The full push shot. Won't go. For the rebound.
Look at this, a defensive rebound and leads the play. Now that time the referee saw it. Grant Hill got fouled on his last jump shot. Not called, this one was. The two big men inside. Sharon Wright trying to get position, clears it out for Brown. Who had an excellent game last night, really shooting well from the outside, made 2 of 4 threes.
Andre Beauvain was guilty of the foul, and here goes Grant to the line. 72% foul shooter this year. And this season, Billy became the first player in ACC history with 1,500 points, 600 rebounds, 400 assists, and 200 steals, and 100 block shots.
You know, one of the things that I admire about him is that what he has done is anything that Duke has asked him to do, whatever role needed to be filled, that's the one he did. He's a very unselfish player, and obviously is a quality player in all facets of the game.
And sometimes those roles would change during the game.
Oh, exactly. I mean, he may be called to be the primary ball handler, sometime the finisher, sometime the defender.
Nice takeaway for Duke. Lang in the middle to Grant.
As an example, there he was, the primary ball handler.
Capel missing.
And rebounder. And let's see if he's the finisher here.
Clark, he's fouled. And Earl Code with his first.
Marty Clark, who's come off the bench with some big games. You're talking about an experienced player. He's made a lot of clutch shots throughout his career, including from the foul line in the Final Four. And there he is.
What that
pretty solid,
tell you is he's the heart and soul of this team.
Right. Well, you know, you have different philosophies by coaches when you have a great player like that. In some cases, and I think has been true with Glenn Robinson this year, in the fact that Glenn, you're going to be our, you're going to score. We want you to get 30 a game. I'm not so sure that if Duke took the approach to say, Grant, we want you scoring 30 a game, we're going to let the other guys fill in the places. I'm not so sure he couldn't do that. There might question, I would say that he might not be the offensive performer that Glenn Robinson is, but he could be a guy that could average 25 plus.
Marty Clark to finish off the 2 for 2 from line and does. 13:43 left in the half, and for Clemson, Corey Wallace is in. Sharon Wright gets a breather. Duke leading 11-9. Been an even first part of the half, 3 ties and 6 lead changes. Earl Code, the freshman from Greenville, South Carolina, works on Collins. Clark comes over to help and blocks it. Capel on the fly.
Capel's got a scorer's mentality.
Tony Moore couldn't handle it. And now it's Code again. The son of a federal judge out of Southside High School. His biggest game as a Tiger last night. Devin Gray back in. Missed this one, but Ragland is there uncontested and put it in.
Mike Krzyzewski going deep on the bench here. When we take a look at everybody that's played, Grant Hill has not yet come out.
Thinking 3. Yep, 3
I'm throwing a push, 33.
Wow, they're calling it tight, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Devin Gray with his first person.
Lou Ritchie coming into the game. Had 7 assists against Duke. Came earlier this year. Likes to push it up the floor. Won't be looking for his shot, but wants to get everybody else involved.
Lou Ritchie, former UCLA walkout now. Trying to stick to Chris Collins. Grant Hill. Brown controlling. Clemson can take the lead again.
I'm surprised that Grant doesn't try to put the ball on the floor and go by Gray. I think he's got a quickness advantage on him.
Brown missing the three. Such a good three-point shooter. You're expected to hit those shots. Duke ball. Jeff Brown hit 45% of his threes this year, and he shot 25% from three-point range last year. So quite an improvement for the senior from Louisiana.
Right, number 2 three-point percentage shooter in the league, behind Lucas of Wake Forest. That's been a nip and tuck battle all year.
Marty Clark.
Here's where I think Grant Hill could put the ball on the floor and get a clear out for him against Gray.
Marty misses the three.
Push inside.
And this one is going to be on Lou Ritchie.
He rode Collins right out from underneath the basket. Not often you see two guards down inside in this kind of position. Now watch Ritchie. Collins is going to go up for the rebound, and there's Ritchie pushing him right underneath.
Yeah, play like that is usually reserved for the big men.
Yeah.
And there's 5'9" Lou Ritchie underneath. Here's Grant putting it on the floor and scoring.
And that's what I was talking about. He can put the ball and just explode by Gray. Gray doesn't have the quickness to stay with him.
13-11, Blue Devils. Ritchie, and fumbled away by Ragland. Timeout on the floor, 11:49 left in our first half. The Duke Blue Devils leading the Clemson Tigers 13-11. Let's look at our MCI proof positive instant replay, and number 33 goes to work.
Well, there was the case where Grant Hill went by Gray. He got fouled by Ragland. It wasn't called, but he got the basket to go in for him anyway.
Really neither team has shot well. Clemson 29% on 5 out of 17. Duke 31% on 5 out of 16.
Well, let's see how they shoot against the zone for the first time today. Clemson goes to a 1-3-1 zone with Wright down on the baseline.
Capel takes it. Misses it. It's Collins to come out of there with it.
Tried to make the great play instead of the easy one. Nothing there.
Clemson bidding to tie with a 2. Ragland hits it.
Ragland showed against Charleston Southern this year that he can put some points on the board. He scored 32 in that game, so he's got an offensive mentality. That's a long way ago, a long time ago when he did that, but if you can get a 30-point game in Division I basketball, you're capable of putting some points up. Parks push.
And for Cherokee, his second foul.
Parks has not really offensively gotten in this game at all. Hadn't had any touches inside, missed a jumper early. Duke is getting a lot of wide open shots, not hitting anything. There was Parks, an obvious foul, pushing from behind.
Collins goes out of the game. Lang, Hill, Capel, Meek, and Parks in the game. And Billy, Eric Meek getting the start today for Duke, and a start on merit, not on a whim. He's earned his playing time.
Right, and also to guard Gray was probably part of the plan.
He really had a big game against the Tar Heels last Saturday in defeat indoors. Now Cherokee gets the ball.
Boy, I tell you, he hadn't been close, has he?
Ron Wright was right there. Ritchie on the kick out to Brown. Jeff doubled in big trouble, and Park steals it. 4 turnovers for the Tigers. Lang on the bounce.
Good no call on that play. Nice dish by Grant Hill. He stopped, pulled up, created a good angle. Another no call.
Back in front. Brown had it blocked by Parks. And that triggers Duke in transition. Hill forced out by Ritchie, but a little too hard. Lou picks up his second foul.
Boy, it is so tough when you've got a player like Hill that can get a defensive rebound and then he takes it all the way up the court. So he'll explode out of here on this rebound. Here he comes. Most guys are looking to pass to somebody. Now he explodes out. And remember last year and throughout his career up to this year, it was a pass to Bobby Hurley, then explode out of there in a lane to get the ball back. This year he has been required to keep it on the floor himself.
Controlled by Clemson.
Second throw away by Collins.
Duke's turned it over 5 times.
Yeah, Clemson matches up with this club, don't they?
They really do.
Yep.
The game at Cameron was amazing. And the Tigers just hung in there all day long.
Nice.
Ron Wright got his own miss, but still couldn't hit.
And here comes Grant Hill again. He's going to be wearing down a little bit. He's been grabbing rebounds. Another foul, no call.
Hill faking. And it seems like Hill's had his hands on the ball the whole game.
Oh,
great ball by Wright, his 92nd of the season. Code penetrates. That's broken up. And Collins gets it ahead to Capel. Jeff without the numbers.
Oh, and he makes it. That was a 1-on-3 fast break. We hear about 3-on-1s, 3-on-2s. That was a 1-on-3, and he still scored. Teams are getting a little tired out here. Wright's gasping for breath down there. Grant Hill has to be a little tired the way he's been pushing the ball up the floor.
Another minute to go before the next TV timeout. 17-13 Blue Devils. Code.
Mulvane has been quiet offensively.
Yes, he has. Corey Wallace. He had a big game against Duke at Clemson with 18. Poked away. Mulvane controls. Shot clock at 2. Shot clock at 1. He got it off. It won't go. Rebound to Collins. Now Grant's going to walk it up.
I think Grant was really exhausted. I mean, it's hard to push that ball up the floor 3 times ago. There's the third outside shot for Collins. Wide open and doesn't hit it. Not having a good first half. 3 open jumpers, that's your job and your responsibility to make those. Just throwing the ball away twice. You said at the top of the show, Bob, they've got to get play on the perimeter. Not getting it yet, and that's why this game is so tight.
Shot clock at 15. Ragland a long 3. He missed it. And Capel is there to corral it, but look at Mulvane get his hand on it and knock it away. 7:50 left in the half, and we've got a timeout on the floor here at the Charlotte Coliseum. Devils 17, Tigers 13. The year was 1962 ACC semifinals. Clemson beat Duke 77-72. The only time the Tigers have moved into the championship game, and when they went to the finals, they met the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And our man Billy Packer had a huge game. 21 points for William in the finals, and Wake beat Clemson 77-66. First team all-tournament that year, my friend. That was a season in the sun for the Deeks.
Well, the guy that had the great game and the great tournament for Clemson was Jim Brennan. He's my wife's favorite former ACC player. You know why? He represents a line. Well, he's been very successful in the clothing sales business all his career after he got out of college. Represents a line called Canvasback, and boy, I'll tell you what, he's a favorite guy around our house.
Duke with it, and a 17-13 lead inside Meek, outside for Capel.
Jimmy, by the way, had 34 in that game against Duke. Art Heyman, the great Art Heyman, had 27. It was quite an upset.
And a turnover. Line travels. Lenny Chappell, too. Your buddy had the MVP that year.
You know, people always used to say about Lenny, he's not a good player. All he can do is to shoot and score and rebound. And I always used to wonder about that. You know,
what else is there?
Yeah, exactly. What do you want him to do? Pose for pictures?
Stay tuned at halftime for the Volkswagen ACC Women's Report. 17-13, Duke leading Clemson here. 7:15 left in the first half. Bob Rathbun, Billy Packer. Paul Cameron will be joining us at halftime. Virginia beat Maryland earlier, 69-63, the winner of this game, to meet the Cavaliers tomorrow.
Brown and Beauvais really have been quiet today. Cliff Ellis really needs some production out of them.
Again, the shot clock dwindling, and Mo Cope puts it in. Billy, he had 10 last night with 9 assists against the Wolfpack.
Played 26 minutes, didn't become a factor in the game really until the second half, but did well. Here's that zone again against Duke. And this should be time for Collins and Capel to do something from the outside.
Clark, tangled up on his way to the hole. Another foul on Clemson.
How often do we see that dribble penetration against the zone create something? A lot of guys trying to pass. That time Clark just put his head down, went right to the hoop.
Clemson's best defending guard, Andre Beauvais, picks up his second foul.
And you remember Marty Clark in the win that Duke had to put him in the finals for the national championship. Went to that line the last minute, 27 seconds. Hit 5 out of 6. The key to that victory.
Blue Devil fans will long remember those free throws for this senior from Western Springs, Illinois. And he saved him earlier this season against unheralded Notre Dame at Cameron Indoor Stadium. His tip-in of a Grant Hill miss with 3 seconds to go gave the Blue Devils a 2-point win over John McLeod's team. That
Notre Dame club may be one of the most unusual teams of the year, huh? Some of their lows were all-time lows, and then they had some incredible highs, and that would have been the highest of highs. But Duke has not lost a game in Cameron in this century, it seems like, to an outside opponent. What, they're up to 90-some games now? Yep.
Louisville, the last to win in there, over 10 years ago. Here's a foul and a charge. That will be number 2.
That's the all-time insult. The guy blocks your shot, and you get called for a charge as well. And Gray goes inside. Nice job by Lang helping out. You see it right here. Meeks hold his ground. Lang from behind.
6:20 left, first half.
Clemson hasn't decided what defense they're in right now. They will match up 1-2-2, yeah. Some thought they were in man-to-man, some zone.
Clark, that's a block. Marty gets it back, and Wright rips it out of his hands. And Code couldn't control it. Devin Gray says, I'll handle this.
Strong boy is Devin Gray. He pulled that away from everybody.
Jeff Brown missed the 3. You get the feeling he needs to hit one to get some confidence.
Good idea by Ragland right there. You know, he's going for the save and fired the ball right back towards his basket rather than out front, where if it got picked off, Duke goes in the other direction.
Mike Krzyzewski, 16-10 all-time in ACC tournament play.
I think Mike's getting a little frustrated with his club. They're really playing a ragged basketball game. It's that 2-3 zone matching up again.
The Duke lead is 4. It goes to 7. First three-pointer of the game for either team.
Now, Grant Hill in his early career went a long time without shooting a three-point shot. This year he's put it up much more because obviously he's playing out in the perimeter more.
That may be a weapon we see next year from Cherokee Parks at the top of the key. Mike has encouraged him in practice.
Possible, kind of like Danny Ferry used to step outside. Obviously Christian Leitner's hit so many big shots out the top of the key.
The foul is on Eric Meek, his first. Here comes the Chief back in, Eric to the bench.
I think what has given Clemson a lot of confidence coming into this game, now it's starting to widen out the margin a little bit, was the game at Duke. You know, that always was the game in which Clemson just went up there and was a sacrificial lamb. This year they went up there and, as you pointed out, Bob, almost pulled out a victory.
Only 1 field goal for the Tigers in the last 6 minutes here.
Now down 7, it's important for them to start getting some of these perimeter guys to score a little bit.
They go to Devin Gray, but he couldn't roll it in. Clemson maintains possession.
Sharon Wright was should have been in position there. Gray was double teamed, missed shot. Wright should have been there for the tapping.
Tipped out by Clark.
Clark having a good active first half coming in off the bench. Nobody wanted to take the ball out of bounds.
Wright and Buckingham, and only 2 between them. Gray with the 7. Code needs help and finds it, and Ragland over back. You betcha. If he had just gone into the backcourt to get the ball, he would have been fine.
Yep, he had possession and took it with him. Boom, there it is, and I think I'll go back there. Didn't work. You're right.
22-15 Duke, 4:45 to play in the first half. 9 times the Tigers have turned it over. They turned it over 20 times in the game at Duke and still came close. Code makes the Blue Devils pay for that miscue.
Well, Clark tried to turn the corner, and accidentally the ball hit Code in the leg. It was not kicking the ball. Picked it up and went away for the score.
And the Tigers keep hanging around, trailing by 5.
Code getting a lot of playing time, considering the normal playing time he gets in a game, coming off of last night.
Parks, nope. Lang, yes, up and short. Clear the rebound.
Cherokee's had 3 shots today where he has not even hit the rim.
Really, neither Parks nor Collins has contributed.
Right.
Brown faking, and a travel on Jeff Brown.
That looked like a pretty good offensive play, didn't it? Came to a jump stop, gave up the ball. Collins back in now. See if he can get something going against his zone.
22 22-17. The Blue Devils lead. 4:01 left in the half.
Both games, so actually all 3 games played so far in the ACC tournament, the first halves have been almost like, let's play the first half to get to the second. Offensive production has been woeful. He didn't get right the ball when he was open. It's tough for a big man to fight for position, be open, and then not get it.
He's fighting for position now and gets it inside, but Duke able to knock it away. The Clemson fans screaming for a foul. Grant Hill, and that's a charge. Good play by Jeff Brown to get back quickly and get set.
Grant Hill tried to split the seam on that drive. He's so effective with it, but Brown had excellent position.
3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the first period in Charlotte. Blue Devils leading Clemson by 5. Friends, ACC basketball is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Devils lead at 22-17, and here are where the Blue Devils have made their field goals from so far. 1 3-pointer, but most of this has been done by Grant Hill.
It has been done by Grant Hill, and if you're going to play against a team the way Clemson is playing defense, you've got to get something going from the perimeter. So far, that has not taken place. The other thing that hasn't taken place, Bob, is that the 2 big guys inside, Parks and Wright, who have been very productive this year for both their clubs, shooting a combined 1 for 8. Cherokee's throwing up 3 air balls.
And Wright right now is on the bench. Ragland and Wallace in. Ragland for 3, missed it. Gray the offensive rebound, drops it, picked up by Ragland, and he scores.
That scorer's mentality we talked about.
In that 32-point game you mentioned, Billy, against Charleston Southern, Ragland hit 6 threes, so he can do it outside as well as inside. 22-19, the Duke lead is 3. You'll recall last year this Clemson bunch upset Florida State in the quarterfinals.
See, I think that they can get dribble penetration against his zone, get the ball over to Collins. There's Cherokee hitting one.
His first basket of the game.
Pretty passive zone defense being played by Clemson right now.
Does that come from 2 games and 2 nights?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't think they're tired yet. No, but I think that it's just the style of the defense, and Duke's going to have to attack it as opposed to just throwing the ball around the perimeter. Ragland's not tired.
Oh, he's ready to go.
Hill with another defensive rebound.
Grant Hill better not get tired. Here's Collins. Now Cable.
He's got to make this shot. 0 for 4 from out there, and those are wide open shots.
Richard at the throttle of the Clemson offense. Corey Wallace around the Ragland screen, hits the 3-pointer.
Now Wallace had 18 against Duke down at Clemson this year.
Hit 4 threes in that game.
That's right. And this is an unusual Clemson team. You start talking, oh, is Wallace 18? And
right.
Where's Ragland with 32? Who are these guys?
A 2-point lead for the Blue Devils. Cable on angle, but he scored.
Well, that's what I was talking about, this passive defense. There's like 5 guys just standing there. You got to put the ball on the floor, take it to them, make them play somebody. Big turnaround there.
Cable all the way. He'll score, and livid is Cliff Ellis.
Well, the Clemson fans thinking that should have been a foul, and the key is, did Cherokee Parks, with that contact, gain an advantage? Obviously, after the pass he did. (28-22) Duke. Richie trying to make something happen. Well, Ragland's got Parks on him out here.
Here's Devin Gray. Oh, what a nice move.
And that was against Grant Hill, considered one of the nation's best defenders. Gray just overpowered him.
Devin Gray with 9 points. He continues to keep it going against the Blue Devils. Here's Parks faking, banking, and hitting.
Nice pass by Grant Hill. Cherokee's now starting to make himself available inside against that zone.
30-24 Blue Devils.
Now Cliff Ellis trying to keep this game a low-scoring, momentum-type game. And here's Ragland. Hey, this guy's got some offensive ability, huh?
8 points off the bench for Rayfield Ragland out of Sheffield, Alabama. Cable for 3, no.
Not good shot selection.
Parks just throws it up and off, and that's the end of the half. So a Wild first half.
He put that up much too soon. They could have got a much better shot than that.
The Blue Devils head to the locker room with the lead, but Clemson is right there with them. At the break at the Charlotte Coliseum, our halftime score, Duke 30, Clemson 26.
Today's ACC action is brought to you by Pizza Hut, Food Lion, Western Auto, and by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports exclusive coverage of ACC basketball is brought to you by Discus Athletic, Bud Light, Central Fidelity Bank, Ford Mustang, and by Nationwide Insurance.
30-26, Duke leading Clemson here at halftime. Just about set for the second half, and our forward keys to the second half. And for the Clemson Tigers, the unknown soldier.
Well, what we're talking about there, not trying to be too cute, but who is this guy that's going to come off the bench for Clemson and have the big game? Now, they've had it happen time and time again when they've been successful. I have no idea which guy it could be, but a
lot of candidates.
A lot of candidates. You're exactly right.
And the perimeter games for both teams.
Yeah, I think that both teams have just absolutely done a poor job from the outside. It's 2 for 15 from three-point range. There've been a lot of open three-point shots without any pressure, nobody being able to knock them down. And for Duke University, you've got to think about Collins, you got to think about Clark, and you got to think about Capel and also Grant Hill to make a few.
Only once in ACC tournament history has the number 8 seed beaten the number 1 seed. That was in '89 when Maryland defeated NC State, and they beat them 71-49, if you'll recall. The number 1 seed Duke against the number 8 seed Clemson. 30-26 as we start the second half.
Trying to set a solid screen. Ragland looking to take Collins and does a good job with it.
And he'll shoot a pair.
Interesting matchup right there. Ragland with a very good first half. 4 for 7, 8 points. We talked about who is that unknown soldier. So far in the first half, it has been Ragland for Clemson, and he gets the start. I guess that Clemson, to reward the fellows that played well.
Raphael Ragland was drafted out of high school by the Toronto Blue Jays of the American League, then signed later a football letter of intent to Auburn, matriculated through Chipola and Connors State to finally arrive at Clemson. Interesting, Billy, he did not play college basketball last year. At Connors, he used that year to get his academics in order. So after a year layoff, coming back to play.
And I wonder if this spring, Clemson with an always a good baseball program, whether he'll go ahead and, well, let's see, he was drafted, but he didn't sign, so he could play, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Baseball rules a little different than the basketball rules. Now Charlie Ward's going to play some baseball. Why not? And Antonio Lang with his 6th point of the game.
Lang has been quiet of late. Certainly capable of coming up with some big games himself.
He's had 3 20-point games this season.
Correct.
First 3 of his career. Kicked ball and a reset of the shot clock.
Virginia, Florida State, and Georgia Tech. So against quality opponents.
And he did it in a brief period of time. It took him 110 games to get a 20-point game in his career. Then he rifled off 3 in 13 games.
Notice how the crowd has been so quiet because not a lot of action, not a lot of scoring. Nice block.
And normally a tournament crowd on the first day will take the side of the underdog.
Correct.
That has not happened yet.
No, it has not. We saw activity pick up in the second half of the Virginia-Maryland game. Great competitive fire on the part of both teams. This game hasn't shown that yet. Duke in a 2-3 zone in the out-of-bounds situation.
Shot clock under 10 now, as you see. Here's Beauvain. He was no factor in the first half. Didn't scratch. He averages 11 a game, and now out of bounds with 3 seconds on the shot clock.
And there's Richie with a situation. Richie with a situation that realizing the clock is down. No sense making that pass in there. What is the man going to do with it? He's got to go ahead, put the ball on the floor, and look for a shot. That's a foul on Richie.
He was trying to set the screen to get right loose, and he just plowed Antonio Lang right out of the way.
You know, that's the second time today that Richie has been called for a foul down underneath the basket. Watch this. Now I'm going to take you, Antonio, and push you outside. That's pretty good downfield block in there.
And they still weren't able to complete the pass because Parks broke it up.
Here's the 1-3 zone now by Clemson. And again, I think that zone's pretty passive. You got to put the ball on the floor and dribble through it.
The winner to meet Virginia tomorrow. If you're just joining us today after maybe a day at the office and school, Virginia won 69-63 in game 1 today. Parks bumped by Wright.
And he makes it.
No basket, says Larry Rose.
Well, he
NBA,
was,
but not in the college.
He's making a fine line call right there, but he's right in the fact that the push took place on the catch. Watch this. There's the push on the catch. He wasn't yet in the motion.
Good call.
There it is. Dribble penetration, push the ball back outside, but then you've got to hit him.
And again, Duke unable to convert on the open 3.
Nice matchup. Ragland. Here's the guy's got to get started. Bovain, he has really not even looked for his shot today. Is a defender, but also has the ability to score.
Devin Gray rolls it home. He's got double figures.
I'm not so sure that that pass was intended for him. Gray just stepped out at the right time.
Clemson within striking distance, trailing by 3.
And they're putting Duke to sleep with this style. Tempo is all their way.
Lang. Bovain unchecked for the rebound. Now it's going to be Bovain driving on Collins and missing. This comes out of there with it. Grant Hill.
A little reversal of the ball that time for a 3. I really thought Cable should get himself in a position for a 3 as well. But there's answering that question. Can Grant Hill shoot? Pretty nice looking stroke.
When all else fails, give it to Grant.
Here we'll see now. Gray sets the screen. Now he steps right out to it. Yep, I'm going to back up. That pass was for Gray. Bovain came in from the backside.
35-29. Duke leading Clemson.
Brown back into the game, looking to try to get a little offense going is Cliff Ellis.
Richie.
Hey, nice.
Banks it in.
I think he's shot capable by going ahead and looking for the shot as opposed to the pass.
Something will happen with the ball in Lou Richie's hand. You're not quite sure what. That was a good back shot. That was a fine stroke from Antonio Lang.
Again, any penetration whatsoever, Bob. You see how they get easy shots. A lot of times you see a zone out there, you assume you have to throw the ball on the perimeter.
Richie faking, barrels in, scores again.
Sweet Lou.
37-33.
You're guarding a guy that doesn't look to take the shot off, and he catches you by surprise to be that aggressive offensively.
Cable baseline, runner over Wright, no. Ragland couldn't get the rebound though, Lang does. Wright came over and committed the foul.
Wright was active down there. Lang having a pretty good second half. Hit a couple of jumpers, been up on the boards.
Devin Gray instead of Wright. Third foul though on Devin. And a timeout comes at 15:57 left in the game. Cliff Ellis and the Tigers looking to stay alive against the Blue Devils. The 41st Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament at the Charlotte Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina. The scene in just 3 short weeks of the Final Four.
Will we see that young man in the Final Four?
No, very soon. Boy, exciting time, and if an ACC team, particularly a Big Four team, should make it back to Charlotte.
Good job by Richie on the strip.
Hard bounce and kick OB by Lang.
Well, I'd have to say that so far in the 2.5 games that have been played, with the exception of the second half of the Virginia-Maryland game, the fans have not been treated to the best in ACC basketball. Games have been boring, to say the least. Here's Duke in a 2-3 zone.
Inside, now picking it up. Devin Gray misses. Wright had it, lost it, and a foul on Duke and on Antonio Lang.
Well, with Gray and Buckingham, the two bookends on the inside.
More quarterfinal action, Bill, coming up tonight with Florida State against North Carolina. Then the late game has Tech and Wake Forest.
That's Richie, third time in the last couple of minutes that he's aggressively looked to take his shot.
Well, you were asking the question at halftime who would step forward.
Buckingham threw it right to Grant Hill.
37-33, Duke leading. This crowd wants some action. Can Collins supply it? Yes, with a three.
Grant Hill recognized that Collins was wide open, demanded the ball. He didn't ask for it, he demanded the ball. And that could get Collins rolling. Good follow through on the shot.
40-33 now. Duke leading by 7. Jeff Brown's runner is good. His first point.
Took advantage of Collins, just beat him to the spot.
Last night, the Tigers beat the Wolfpack, and Jeff Brown scored 12. Grant Hill over Lang for 3. So the Dukies have come out now and hit back-to-back threes, and they lead at 43-35, the biggest Duke advantage.
And Brown saying he was grabbed on the arm, and I believe he was right on that one. Collins got a piece of him.
Sharon Wright
has had 2 weak games so far in the tournament. You know, last night he ended up getting a few points at the end, but did nothing in the first half, got in foul trouble. Today just sitting there with 2 points.
Devin Gray powers up and
it makes no difference whether they hit him in the arm or not. Grant Hill now having to adjust to the backcourt. They've put Capel and Collins on the wings against this defense. Hill out in front.
Inside to Antonio Lang. Outside, Collins, NBA 3. Yep. You're right, Bill. He's got it rolling now.
Yep, he was behind the line. It just was the blue line, not the white line. And that was a long 3. He's got the stroke. You know, a guy can shoot like riding a bike. If you can do it once, you can do it often. You just have to get that confidence.
Inside for one of the few times to Sharon Wright. He took it strong to the bucket and drew the foul. You look at the Clemson statistics and Sharon Wright and what he means to the offense. Yes, he averages 15 a game, but what's remarkable, Bill, he averages 15 a game on an average of 10.5 shots a game.
Well, you know, that there could be a factor 2 ways on that. Number one, you say, well, the guys aren't getting the ball. The other thing is you're not trying to get the ball. You know, and you've got to make, if you're a postman, you've got to make yourself available, constantly moving, setting up the guy that's guarding you. And get to the point where fellas say, you know, when we throw it in there, Sharon's working. Yeah. And so, you know, I think most times you fault the passer by saying, hey, you know, they just don't throw the ball into him. But a lot of times it's a big man not making himself available.
And that is really nothing more than hard work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think that that's one thing this young man, he's got a lot of talent, but that's one thing this guy has to work on.
Soft touch on the foul line.
No, he won the McDonald's High School All-American 3-point contest. Forget about low post player. So that shows he's got a touch. Nice cut.
And the foul on Ragland.
That was the first time today Duke set up an offense that had nobody in the low post and then just cut to the basket. You see, and nobody's in there to help out. A nice offensive set by Duke.
So Lang will shoot 71-3 at the line this season. Stepped it up to 74% in ACC play.
Well, there's a guy shooting over 60% from the field. A very excellent complimentary player. And as you pointed out, Bob, before, 3 times this year he scored over 20 points. That's beyond being a complimentary player.
3rd team All-ACC pick this year. Lang in double figures with 10. 48-39. We've got a whistle, and Ragland is hurt.
Yeah, he got hit in the mouth, and I think that he's got a few teeth that have got to be a little bit loose on him. He's going out. And of course, Cliff will have time. There's Cliff Ellis over there, two-time ACC Coach of the Year. One of the great stats that I saw is that the day that Cliff Ellis resigned at Clemson, I'm going to show you a parallel that's scary, okay? His record was 165 and 118. Who was the greatest coach in Clemson history in any sport?
Bill Wilhelm.
How about, well, yeah, that's a pretty, that was a good jump there. How about Frank Howard? His record was 165 and 116. Almost exactly the same record.
And they foul inside. This one is on Meek.
And for those that don't follow baseball the way you do, Bill Wilhelm is certainly the great baseball coach.
Well, I was thinking, you know, in terms of winning percentage.
But how about that? They were just almost exactly the same record. That's a Tim Beret all-time stat right there.
And if anybody can come up with them,
he can do it.
Is Tim Beret.
They both had exactly the same number of wins, 165. And you have a football coach and a basketball coach, 116 wins to 118 wins. Losses, excuse me. There's that touch again.
White's hit 3 straight. There you see the dental work. Mr. Ragland.
Well, the tough thing about that is obviously the trainer must stop the bleeding before he can enter the game. And when it's in the mouth, you know, that becomes very difficult.
Sharon, 4 free throws, 1 field goal in this game. 48-41.
Ragland coming right back to sit next down to the coaches, saying, hey, I'm ready to go back in.
Grant.
He got hit and fouled, no call.
Wallace outside. Ritchie rifles it inside. Devin Gray, and it's out of bounds.
Yep, didn't he have it? He had it, and he thought he really wasn't that wide open. Hey, we see this right here. Now, you know, the referee said, no, he got all ball. I mean, it wasn't even close to all ball. Hit him right on the arm.
Lang up in the air. Draws the contact from Wallace.
I'm not making a case for Grant Hill on that one, but I don't think this game has been very well officiated. I mean, both ways. That was a pretty easy call for the referee.
Stay tuned for the Nations Bank Players of the Game Award. Nations Bank will contribute $1,000 to the ACC Postgraduate Scholarship Programs, and 71 contributions have helped fund postgraduate educational opportunities for over 50 deserving student athletes. Bob Rathman, Billy Packer alongside here. Paul Cameron, 48-41 Blue Devils. 12.5 to play in the game. Lang rainbows, misses.
Lang almost like Gray that time. Didn't realize he was that wide open, and the shot became a secondary thought.
Grant Hill, a couple of weeks ago, right before the Temple game, had that number 33 retired to joining the other listed greats. Out of bounds. There's one name, though, when I see that list.
I know who you're going to say. Jeff works right in this town. Jeff Mullins, yep.
Really
two-time All-American. Went to the Final Four twice.
Certainly is deserving.
Yep.
His 49ers in the Metro Tournament this weekend. Jeff now the head coach here at UNC Charlotte.
Nice switch by Lang.
Former colleague of ours on the ACC.
Oh, how about that steal by Grant Hill?
Lang going to work. Kicks it out to Clark. Collins in the corner. Other corner for Hill.
Oh, yes! You know what? I think since Grant Hill got fouled, kind of like what we saw in the first game when Dean got a little bit emotionally involved, I think Grant Hill's ready to turn it on. If I'm Duke, I get him the ball.
Well, this is a game where you got to supply the emotion.
Exactly. Crowd not into it.
It's noisier in the library. Here's Wright. That's stripped.
That was Grant Hill again with a strip.
Now Parks and Ragland return. And we've got a timeout on the floor. 11:35 to play in the game. The Blue Devils 50, the Tigers 41. Back after this word from our good friends at Bud Light. Welcome back, everybody. Let's look at an MCI proof positive instant replay.
There's Grant Hill on the great anticipation and steal. He hits away. This excellent ball movement on the part of Duke. Clark on over to Collins. Collins penetrates. Back out to Grant Hill, anticipated that he'd have a move to the basket and puts it away. That's an excellent sequence.
Grant Hill having another big game against the Tigers. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He's at 7 of 13 from the field. Grant had 22 at Littlejohn and 33 against Clemson at Cameron. There's the bumping foul on Capel.
Ritchie again showing that he wants to put the ball on the floor, look to score as opposed to pass.
Third foul on Jeff Capel.
Now, Ritchie had some unusual stats against Duke down there at Clemson. He had 2 points, 1 assist in 37 minutes.
Now Lou.
Caught inside. How about a hook shot?
Yeah, why not? Ooh, I thought it was last touch by Grant Hill, but Duke Edsel says no.
Grant Hill anticipated to be a little pressed. You notice that he called for his teammates to get back there and help on the inbounds, but Clemson went back. Now, Brown against Grant Hill.
Parks, 3? No.
Well, that time they played a little triangle and 2 to Clemson, trying to change some things up. The 2 guys being guarded, of course, Grant Hill and Capel.
You just get the feeling, Billy, Clemson needs somebody to step up and provide the offensive spark. That time, carelessly through the hands of Wright. Now Capel on the break, and that's going to count. Goaltending on Brown.
You know, you really wonder in regard to Sharon Wright on that last play. That ball was thrown right in his hands. So you'll see it right here. Boom, right in the hands. Perfect pass. He drops it, and Duke's on the way for a score. On the goaltend.
52-41, Duke's biggest lead, 11.
We were talking before, a guy's got to make himself available. Brown on a hard shot. Right now, you have a feeling one of 2 things happen to Clemson. They are getting a little tired from last night, starting to catch up to them a little bit, although they've played a lot of people here today. And the other thing is you start looking up at that scoreboard, it's getting away from you. This is not a team that has been able to win on a consistent basis, and you now start to accept a loss. They haven't put that same intensity that we saw in both the Maryland and Virginia kids' eyes in the first game.
April dribbled it off his foot out of bounds. 10:22 to play.
And now what Mike Krzyzewski has to do, if that's the case, is to start getting his guys fired up. You know, you can't just accept the win. You have to start building some momentum in a 3-day tournament. If you get it to go 3 days.
Last year, Duke was 1 and done.
Yep.
Georgia Tech knocked him out in the first round. Wright.
Parks got caught behind Wright.
There's the second field goal for Sharon. 52-43. Clark. 3.
Marty shoots that line drive 3. But again, that defense is just standing there now.
Duke 5 of 7 on 3s in the second half. That was a point you made at halftime, but they needed to get that moving.
Grant Hill again, coming from the weak side. Great anticipation on his part.
Devin Gray comes up with it outside Beauvais. Yes! That's a three. Andre's first field goal of the game is 40-3. 55-46. Parks will take it as Wright plays back.
Ken Clemson showed a little bit of that triangle in 2.
Wright got the feed, missed it, got it back, put it in, foul.
He's starting to take Cherokee Parks now. The big guy can do it. The problem is, can he do it every minute? See, he's starting to really work now, get position. He's taking Cherokee to school here, gets it back, puts it back up for another dunk opportunity, gets fouled. Nice entry pass on the perfect side.
Capel with the foul, his 4th. Wright's trying to get himself worked up.
It's an expression of emotion.
11 for Sharon, 9 here in the second half.
you know, against Oklahoma State, that has Bryant Reeves, one of the best centers in the country. He held Reeves 3 for 13 and scored 25 points, got 13 rebounds himself. So, you know, he's capable against any center in the country having a big numbers.
34 points. And now Clark puts it in, and another foul on Beaubain.
And right now, what we see is almost an imaginary defense on Clemson's part. The guys are just getting any shot that they want. The defensive intensity not there. See, the shots are just put them up. And in fairness, Duke had a lot of open shots in the first half, just didn't hit them. Now they're starting to fall.
Marty Clark at the line. Incredibly, Marty Clark, coming into this tournament, had scored a grand total of 2 points in 6 career ACC tournament games. He's erased that today with a 9-point effort.
Well, and a lot of those situations, you got to think of who he was playing behind.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Duke had some pretty strong players in the Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner years.
What you think?
Yep, yep. Maybe in some mop-up activity, right?
58-49, Duke leading.
And playing now a 2-3 zone. One matchup out of it.
Here's Devin Gray on the shovel to right for the stop.
See, there's a guy. Now look at Wright going through all kind of theatrics. He needs to save that energy, get down the floor, and say to himself, "Why don't I do this all the time?" I mean, he's taken over the game the last couple of minutes. He's got his team back within 7.
Now Meek fakes, and we first have a foul. I thought maybe on the shot, but no, they'll call it on Ragland. You know, when Devin Gray was out, Billy, with an ankle injury, Clemson was 0-3. I thought when he came back, it really complimented Wright because teams had to pay so much attention to Devin in a two-man thing underneath. It would open some things up for Sharon Wright. Yep. We saw that on that last play.
Well, they complement each other perfectly. Of course, neither one is senior, and if they were to come back and set their mind to it, they'd be a real force. Their size and strength and ability inside.
Eric Meek with his 3rd point. Not a good foul shooter, 56%.
The only one on this Duke team that's not. That as a team, you're shooting over 70%, which is the thing that you want in the tournament. That's why they're so good in close ball games going down the wire.
Duke has played 6 games this year, decided by 5 or less. They've won 5 out of 6. They only lost to Wake Forest in that controversial finish at Cameron. Down the lane, Gray.
Oh, what a block! Oh, that was a beautiful block. The referee anticipated that it was going to be a foul and blew the whistle, but it was a great block. And you'll see the play right here. You can't block it any cleaner than that. Look at that. I mean, that's nobody, nothing on the arm. We've seen so many times today on even jump shots, guys have been hit on the arm. Bad call.
And again, we saw on that offensive opportunity, Wright working in tandem with Gray.
Yep.
Marks has blocked a team-high 48 shots this season. 4 in this game.
Well, interesting. The shot block leaders in the ACC this year, 2 freshmen, Joe Smith and Tim Duncan.
We'll see Tim and the Deacons later tonight as our quarterfinal coverage continues from the Charlotte Coliseum.
Little double stack by Duke right here and saying, hey, if you want to play this kind of game, we're in no hurry. The object is to advance to the next round.
Shot clock now hits 10. Oh, and Devin Gray with a steal and Grant with a foul.
That is not what Coach Mike Krzyzewski had planned on the board. Grant Hill kind of embarrassed a little bit there. Devin Gray reached in, pulled it away.
Billy, the Clemson Tigers are still within striking distance. Gray's got a chance to add to his total at the line.
Cliffs had that coat off the entire day. They're hanging in there, as you say. A lot of time to play.
Devin Gray went over the 1,000-point mark in his Clemson career in the game at Duke. Bangs them both in. And we've got a timeout on the floor. Cliff Ellis and his Tigers trailing by only 6. And as Billy mentioned, a lifetime left in this game, 7:24. It's time now for the Pizza Hut delivery of the game.
Devin Gray on the inside, and Bob, you talked about how these two guys could match up. He gets it over to Sharon Wright, who puts it away, hangs on the rim a little long, and then goes through some theatrics. Could have been called for a tee hanging on that rim.
Sharon Wright, Billy, in the second half with 11 points, getting all 5 of his free throws and 3 field goals, a 2-point first half. More action coming up tonight. The Tar Heels, the 2nd seed against Florida State. Seminoles gave him quite a battle in Chapel Hill a few days ago. Then Georgia Tech and Wake Forest in the final game of the night.
That was one of the craziest stat games of the year. The front line 23 out of 23 and still struggle for the victory. Back to man-to-man goes Clemson.
Clark, another line drive 3, missed it. Rebound Ritchie, and Clemson with a 3-pointer has a chance to cut the Duke advantage in half.
Marty Clark hit that one right off his hip, didn't he? And he normally shoots a flat shot, but that one was really flat.
Ragland now to Ritchie. 6:50, the time remaining. Lou on the drive, circles out. Shot clock at 10. Gray, no. Gets it back, no. Right, the 3rd try, no. And a foul on Grant Hill.
Okay, the two guys are moving inside in tandem and doing the job. They're putting a lot of pressure on Cherokee Parks. Gray doesn't miss many of those. He likes that shot coming from the opposite side of the rim. Then Sharon goes up. Grant Hill stays in the air, gets a piece of the ball, but hits him on the arm.
Sharon Wright has done an outstanding job at the foul line today, hitting 5 of 5, a 63% shooter at the line in the regular year. This is this one.
Here we see he's starting to put a body, and Cherokee Parks is staying behind him. You're going to get in trouble. You stay behind Sharon Wright. He's got that big body. Ritchie did a nice job driving that ball out to the other side.
Wright goes 1 of 2 for his 14th point. Clemson's within 5. The regular season champion Blue Devils, the top seed against the 8th seed Clemson.
Well, they had a 6-point victory against Clemson this year and a 4-point victory, so it's not like Duke ever blew them out.
All right, it figured to be a close game.
Switching out front. Clemson's defense has changed a lot in terms of intensity and concentration. Remember that little spell they went through when they fell behind? Almost a second steal.
Near steal by Gray. Now Ragland takes it away.
Boy, had an opportunity to get a fast break started there as well.
Yeah. Here's Gray. Rejected by Parks.
And by Hill.
Taken away on the steal.
Those are 2 incredible blocks.
Boy, the Chief with 5 blocks now. And Wright pokes it out of there.
Marty Clark, you know, some guys, that adjustment to the backcourt's difficult. And there was too much space from where he was standing to get the ball down low without it being knocked away.
Duke takes a timeout. 5:33 left. And the Devils lead the Tigers by 5. Back after this word from our good friends at Bud Light. Welcome back, friends. Here's a look at the Sprint assistant coach, and we're taking a look now at the Grant Hill made baskets in this game. You see the 3-pointers, 3 of them, 18 total.
And that's done a typical job that we see from Grant Hill in regard to rebounding as well as what he's been able to do defensively. And there's his dad in that white shirt, khaki pants, blue hat, M&Ms, a couple of packs of gum, all of that routine he goes through.
Yeah, he's chopping on that gum pretty good. It's a 5-point game. Collins for 3. No. Lang battles. Parks picks it up. Blocked by Ragland. And Parks back for the dunk.
Big effort by Cherokee Parks. You got to wonder about calling a timeout and the shot that Collins took.
They had 15 seconds on the shot clock.
Yep. But what's happened now, Clemson has picked up their intensity.
Devin Gray works inside, and Grant Hill the foul. That's the 4th on Grant.
Well, here we see Cherokee Parks coming back up with a putback, gets it blocked, regains control, puts it back up strong. That's amazing to me when Grant Hill down inside defensively, how he has the anticipation, the ability to figure out when a guy is going to shoot it. You know what I mean? Because Gray is really clever down inside with his body.
He's just got that 6th sense. And I recall the game at Michigan way back in December when he blocked a Javon Howard shot on the baseline to preserve a big Duke win. And it was that great shot blocking knack that sealed the victory for Duke.
Well, Duke, of course, won at Michigan and at Iowa. And the only team to do that in the country is right in that league was Purdue. They've won 10 straight games against Big Ten competition, has Duke.
We've got a whistle on Antonio Lang is shaken up, and officials timeout. Dave Engelhardt over there to take a look at him and see if Antonio can stay in the game. 62-56 Devils with 4:47 to play.
Looks like he just got popped. Oh, what he did, yes, he ran into the shoulder of Collins. His jaw's a little sore.
Lang.
Nice defense by Ragland.
Shot clock at 14.
You know, one of the things that Clemson has forced Duke to do that Mike Krzyzewski didn't want, and that is to play Grant Hill a lot of minutes today. You know, he's had to be out there just about the whole time.
Again, Clemson has a chance, and Parks another block, but Wright sends it home.
And we've got ourselves a 4-point game.
4 minutes and change remaining. And we talked about the crowd, Billy, been quiet, but now they're sensing the underdog's got a chance. And everybody, with the exception of the Duke fans, rooting for Clemson. But Grant Hill stuns him with a 3.
What a way to silence him. His 4-3 of the game from downtown.
Here's Devin Gray wheeling in. Score.
Oh, yes.
Devin Gray does it to Duke again. 18 points for Devin.
And he felt he was hit on the arm, and probably was.
65-60.
It's amazing how Duke allowed Clemson went to sleep. Looked like they're ready to throw in the towel, and Duke didn't take advantage of it. And now Clemson's got their 2nd win and attitude. Gray on Grant Hill. See if it's a clear out. Let him take him with the dribble.
Shot clock at 10. Inside, knock away. Not a good pass.
Nope, not as good at all. Cherokee didn't put his body on him and keep it. Made too much space in between himself and Wright. And now things can really get tight.
Clemson trailing by 4 with it. Gray inside to Wright. Muscles in. Parks another block. Another block for Cherokee. Seven block shots for Cherokee Parks. Boy, was that huge. Duke leading by 5.
The all-time shot block leader, of course, Mike Jaminski for Duke University. Cherokee closing on regular season single game stat. Here we see Cherokee on the inside. And then Sharon Wright says, no, you're not blocking that one.
This could have cut it to 3.
Yep, comes back and gets this one. What happened to Sharon that time is he had to adjust his shot. Parks goes over the top.
Parks strong over Wright. He scores again.
The Cherokee coming up big here on both ends of the floor.
67-60 Duke with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. Here's Ritchie, the hard bounce to Ragland for 3. No. Rebound to Capel.
That could have been a big miss.
Now Duke will sit on it here, melt some of that clock.
I think Clemson has to come after him. You're down 7. And that's what Cliff Ellis is telling him. Come on out and play.
Ritchie trying to get Capel's shirt. And Bobain comes over to foul.
How about Wright pushed Capel after the foul was called. Almost knocked him down.
Billy, we've just been informed that officially on the stat bench over there, Cherokee Parks has been credited with 9 block shots in this game. Wow. Brown and Wallace replace Ragland and Bovane for the Tigers.
Well, now if you're Cliff Ellis, maybe even think about sending guys in waves. You know, have some your offensive team and then go out and chase with your defensive team, because they cannot afford to sit back and let Duke run off as they did that time, 15 seconds without being contended.
Jeff Capel, 70% at the line this year, 1-1. And the rebound to Lang. And the foul on Ritchie.
Now that's not a bad foul, because in effect Duke is going to have another 35 seconds.
67-60 Blue Devils. We have an update from the Big East tournament. We'll pass it along to you when we can. Connecticut St. John's, the Huskies win by 20.
I think that moves Connecticut closer and closer to that #1 seed in the East. They've had a great year, won more games than anybody in the history of the Big East Conference, with 16 wins in the regular season this year. Have dominated the league. We're picked preseason #4. It's not often you're picked 4th in the league and then turn out to dominate it in the same year. It's one thing to win it, but they won it convincingly.
Wright secures it, but the Tigers too many down and not enough time. They've got to make it happen quickly.
Well, Wright secured it and then stood there and held on to it. I mean, they've got to move the ball up the court quickly.
Devin for 3.
Not his shot.
Cable rebound.
And wisely doesn't try to force the ball up the court. Stay away from being fouled.
And Wallace grabs him on the way by.
Well, it's kind of interesting, you know, the clock becomes the major opponent if you're Clemson right now, and conversely for Duke, it becomes, you know, your teammate. So you don't want to get fouled. If a guy's coming at you, pass it to a free teammate. You don't want to be on that foul line. What you want to do is have those seconds tick by.
Cherokee Park's 9 block shots today has equaled the all-time Duke record. You mentioned Mike Jaminski's name, Billy. He had 9 blocks 3 different times in his career, but Parks has equaled that in this quarterfinal. Capel missing the free throw.
Again, that's why you don't want to be fouled. I mean, there is a chance that you can miss the free throw. There's no chance if you don't get fouled that the clock will not move. Time does not stand still. As an example.
And now here comes Clemson with
Gotta
Ritchie.
think 3. Gotta think 3.
So Ritchie
goes for 2.
Missed the layup. Sharon Wright.
About basketball also is a mathematics class. You've got 57 seconds to go. You're down 8. Okay, you've got to have 3 possessions. So if you're going to take 2s, you got to have 4 possessions. You're not going to get 4 possessions in 57 seconds. So you've got to pull up and take 3-point shots.
Bovane can supply some of that outside firepower back in.
You have to be thinking about that as a player, and not this very second. You think about that, you know, in the summertime. You say, hey, you know, what was this situation here? We're down 8. We've got 50 seconds to go. I've got the ball in my hands. What should I do? I mean, it should be instinctive.
You saw the lineup for tonight's contests. What, any thoughts on the night games, Billy? Some of those matchups, Georgia Tech playing in the late game.
Well, the thing that will amaze me about Georgia Tech tonight is the fact that we saw James Forrest and Berry both practice yesterday, and it looked to me like they're about 50% efficiency. I don't see how either one can be a significant factor in the game. And when you take that into consideration, you'd have to say that Wake Forest, you know, has a real advantage in that particular game, because Georgia Tech is really lame right now.
And the Deacons trying to break this first-round jinx.
Yes.
Dave Odom, as the head coach, has not won a game in this tournament.
And I think, though, on the other side, Wake Forest got to feel pretty comfortable about getting in the NCAA tournament. Georgia Tech may say, hey, we've got to win another game. Right. So maybe those fellas, other than Forrest and Berry, can step forward.
And a quick turnaround for Florida State, North Carolina. They just met in Chapel Hill a couple of weeks back. Tar Heels coming off their most impressive game of the season. They beat Duke Saturday night at Cameron.
Of course, Florida State last year came into this tournament with great expectations. Had played so well and then got knocked out early on.
Marty Clark puts another one in. Billy, he's had double figures now in 11 of his last 17 games. And the man that you talked about at the top of our telecast, having to step up off the bench to help this Duke team in tournament play.
Yeah, one of the things that you like is to have an experienced senior coming off of there that's played in a lot of big games down the wire, has proven throughout his career that he can make a big free throw shot. He comes in the game, you have a feeling what he can bring for you. Wallace with the right idea, should pass it back out.
And blocked by Parks. Brown missing. Here's Wallace putting it up and in. Clemson will take a timeout with 40.9 seconds to play.
Again, there you're in a situation where it's just a matter of mathematics. It's of no value to put that ball back up. You've got to pass it out and try to hit a three.
Hey, timeout on the floor. We'll return after these messages from the Atlantic Coast Conference. The Duke Blue Devils looking to join Virginia in the semifinal bracketing tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, leading Clemson 70-64. You know, Billy, was on this date, March 11th, 1984, that the left-hander won the ACC tournament by beating this Duke team 74-62 in the Greensburg Coliseum. And the left-hander back in the NCAAs with his James Madison team coming up next weekend.
Hey, you know, when you look at NCAA tournament and you look at Clemson and Duke, you think about Connecticut, who we just mentioned. You remember that pass that Tate George hit for the shot to beat Clemson and then set up the Duke-Connecticut matchup for Christian Laettner's first immaculate reception type shot that beat Connecticut, moved the Duke into the Final Four.
You know, Cliff Ellis has said, had Clemson won that game, forced the rematch with Duke, he felt pretty good about his chances because he'd just beaten Duke at Little Joe.
Yep.
And a chance for Clemson to go to the Final Four.
Well, they had one other chance, and Bill Foster took that club out there, lost to Larry Brown's team back in 1980. A UCLA club that went to the Final Four, and Larry Brown going into the final game against Louisville, getting knocked off by Benny Crumb's club.
Jeff Capel stretches it back out to a 3-possession game with 35.1 seconds left. Duke 71, Clemson 64. Tigers challenged, but a couple of big plays by Cherokee Parks seemingly has denied the Tigers a chance to move on in the ACC.
And again, Lang gets the rebound. See that error as goes back to Duke. That's the second time that Lang has been able to grab a rebound when Cliff Ellis's club so dearly needs to gain possession. And again, we look up at the clock right now, and we've got a 7-point differential.
Lang bumped by Wallace. The Blue Devils in victory will raise their record to 23-4. Billy, are you of the mindset that the ACC tournament winner, if it's either Duke or North Carolina, would get a #1 seed?
I really think that, and we've seen this before by the committee, where on the board they have the winner goes here and the loser of a given tournament goes there. I think if Duke and Carolina were to get to the finals, of course they've got a lot of work ahead of them to do that. I really feel that the #1 team, the team that wins that, will be the #1 seed in the West. The other team being the #2 seed in the East.
Here's what's left of the tournament. Virginia Duke tomorrow in the first game. Tonight's matchups with the Tar Heels and the Seminoles, followed by Wake Forest and Georgia Tech.
But as I said, there's a lot of basketball to play before those guys even think about getting to the finals of this conference tournament. Good job by Collins just to occupy a little time here. He doesn't want to foul, just wants to take a few seconds off the clock and bringing the ball up.
Wallace a 3, no. And Parks the rebound.
Get rid of the ball to somebody that's not being guarded.
Devin Gray will take it, miss it. And a foul on Jeff Brown of Clemson as he decked Grant Hill.
Cherokee Parks on that last occasion, there were plenty of guys open. The object is to not be caught with the ball in your hands. Pass it to the first open guy and get moving to an open area. Cherokee held onto the ball, found himself in trouble, and then had to dump it back, got it stolen.
Well, for Cliff Ellis, 11.4 seconds left in his tenure as the Tiger head coach, barring, of course, an NIT bid.
trying to go now.
The last time we'll see him coach the Tigers in the ACC Tournament. That young man has done a whale of a job for the Tigers. He'll leave as Clemson's winningest basketball coach in history. Grant Hill rolling in the free throw.
Of course, has been involved in winning situations in South Alabama as well. Won 3 Sun Belt crowns down there. And I would imagine if he still hopes to coach that there will be another job waiting for him somewhere.
Tony Moore coming in now for the Blue Devils. Grant Hill goes out. Once again, did it all for Duke today. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. Not a bad afternoon. Clark steals it, and Collins is going to have a chance for the lay-in. And that will do it. The Blue Devils, as great touches, have defeated the Clemson Tigers 77-64. And Duke advances to meet Virginia tomorrow afternoon in the ACC Tournament semifinals. The Blue Devils knock off Clemson and advance. Again, our final, Duke 74, Clemson 64. We'll be back